Hi, this is Tim Hubbard, supervisor of the great town of Riverhead, and you're watching Riverhead in Action, a media campaign designed to highlight the incredible work of the 350 plus employees that comprise Riverhead's 26 departments and sub-departments, town events, projects, job openings, local businesses, and other town happenings. I hope you find this informative and enjoyable, and thank you for watching Riverhead in Action.
Okay, Tim.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming down. This is a magical day for the town of Riverhead, I must say. We've been in the news a lot lately for so many positive things, but this is by far one of the best, or is the best, news that we've gotten in a long time. And unless you live in a cave without electricity, you know why we're here today. This raise grant that we were awarded is the single largest grant ever in the town of Riverhead's history. And this grant would not have been possible without the assistance and hard work of Senator Chuck Schumer, who is to my right. He believes in our town. He's been to our town many times. I actually met him. I just told him I met him years back. He would come out to the country fair and walk through the country fair and visit with us. And I was a cop at the time, and I woke up and I said hello to him, and it was just a pleasure to meet him then, but it's a really, really big pleasure to meet him now. The work that the center has done broke all levels, all barriers. There is no Republican, there is no Democrat. This was a bipartisan deal that was put together with the help of the Department of Transportation, and it was spearheaded by Senator Schumer. This makes our vision for our town come to a reality. We've talked about this for years. We've dreamed about this for more years, and now we're next to shovel ready. And I can't thank my community development team standing back behind us here, Dawn Thomas and her crew. The work that they do in getting the grants and arranging for the grants and the timelines they got to stick to, it's absolutely incredible. We have been struggling in this town for a long time. When Tanger Mall was built, they kind of shut down our Main Street, and all our mom and pops, some of them went out of business, some of them have hung in tough, and they're still here today. But it makes a difference when that happens, and your Main Street has to be revitalized, and you have to revitalize it with foot traffic and with people, and we're doing that with the apartments that we built down here, and we're certainly going to do it when we have a destination town square where people from all over Suffolk County are going to come and say, hey, why don't we have that? Well, guess what? We're going to be the first with it. And again, with all the beautiful help from Senator Schumer's office, this dream becomes a reality. So at this point in time, I would like to turn it over to our wonderful senator, and I'm sure he's got some words for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Tim, and I want to thank Tim for the great work he does as supervisor of Riverhead. He loves this place. As he said, he was a police officer here. When I called him about the grant, he literally teared up. And that was because he was so glad that the town was getting this grant and could revitalize itself. So I want to salute him. I also want to introduce, before I get to the other people here, as you know, I've had great staff here on Long Island. Most of them have moved on to even more and bigger, better things on Long Island. And Mike Iannelli, for 9 years, did a great job as our Long Island coordinator. He's just left to move over, and he's working for Stony Brook. And we have a new person, and I wanted to make sure everyone knows him. He's going to do a great job. And he was an intern carrying signs here in my office how many years ago when I used to come to the fair all the time. And I'll be back, hopefully, God willing, this year. I didn't, COVID stayed away. But this is Adam Hornbuckle. Okay, so everyone should get to know him. He does a great job and highly recommend it. I also want to thank our assembly member, who we didn't think she'd be here, but Joanne, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I want to thank our board members from the town of Riverhead. Board members, raise your hands. Thank you so much. I want to thank Jerry DeCecco. He owns Jerry and the Mermaid, one of our great local restaurants here, and Sean McKenna from the BIDMA. That's the Business Improvement District Managers Association, and he owns Cucina, 25 an Italian restaurant, as well as the bistro, both on Main Street. How are we doing this year? Good?
Sean there, we're doing great.
You're doing good? Great. Glad to hear it. My dad was a small businessman. He didn't serve food. He dealt with the opposite end. He was an exterminator. He killed roaches. My sister once sent him a Father's Day card that said, "Dad, we're the only family that associates the smell of DDT with love." Because he'd come home from work each night reeking of all these chemicals. But he lived to 98, praise God. World War II vet, sort of a war hero a little bit, flew over the Himalaya mountains. But anyway, so I care about small business people because it's in my bones. I watched my father struggle with his business. So why are we here today? Let me tell you, we are here for, let's see, where is it here? We're here for 24 million reasons. That is the $24 million grant that we've gotten. But the biggest reason, we love Riverhead, we love this downtown. It's always been special. I mean, I've been coming to the street fair since 1999 when I was country fair, when I was assemblyman. Always had my favorite places to stop. I just go up the street, down Main Street here, walk back along the river, got ice cream, corn, all kinds of great stuff. So it's a great downtown, but of course it needs some revitalization. And as Tim mentioned, when the big malls come in, our downtowns suffer. But now people are coming back to the downtowns. The malls are okay, but they're boring. You know, when they first came when I was a kid, oh boy, the mall, you had to spend time at the mall. Now people realize the downtowns, in a certain sense, have more character and more place. And so we want to revitalize the downtown. We know it needed a lift. Everyone here has done a great work to make it thrive, attract people, tourism, business. The season is good this year, but with a little extra help, things could transform. So this is a new day, a new era for Riverhead, because after a long time and a joint hands effort, I've delivered $24 million in federal funds that will not just give us a lift, but it'll be sort of the rocket thrust. This $24 million is a rocket thrust to this downtown. It'll never be the same again. Now, the funding comes from something called the RAISE grant. It's called the Rebuilding Infrastructure and Sustaining Equity Grant. I wrote this program to help our downtowns, to help our smaller downtowns in particular, other places that needed help. You know, if you're New York City, or even if you're the town of Hempstead, town of Brookhaven, you got a lot of people who can write grants and all of that, and I help them, I like them. But when you're a smaller place, you need some real help, and these RAISE grants are aimed at that particular situation. The infrastructure law was the fuel that powered and supercharged this renaissance, the Riverhead Renaissance that we're talking about here today. And the town's going to use the funding to reactivate one of the greatest streets, the Peconic River riverfront, by opening it up to public use. But there's also going to be flood mitigation. We remember the floods and how they did damage and kept people away even long after the floods were gone and had receded. People say, oh, it was flooding, I'm not sure I want to come. That kind of thing. It's going to spur development and connect the downtown with multimodal transportation network as well. And I've long advocated for Riverhead's town effort because it's a multifaceted, comprehensive project to revitalize downtown in this beautiful, diverse, historic community. The town and community members, and I thank you, Tim, and all the folks before you who worked so hard. But now with this big grant, and there's other money coming in as well, but this is the big one, they'll be able to do so many different things. So it's a win for Riverhead, but it's also a win for the East End. It's a win for Suffolk County, for the entire island. We're going to get lots of tourists here, etc. And I'm proud to have worked and supplemented and supported the towns. I always do. I try to deliver money to New York. And you know, Senator Moynihan, who was my mentor, he used to say, well, New York's a donor state. We send more money to Washington than we get back. And that was true every year until 2 years ago. For the last 2 years, New York gets more money back than we send to Washington. It's good to have the majority leader from New York. I'm the first majority leader ever from New York. And one of the things I do when I work on legislating and all that is to make sure New York gets its money. And we have been able to do that. In our release, press people, there's a lot more on what we're doing. But when people say government can't work, this is an example of government work. I believe in this. I believe government can get some things done if you work hard, but also if you're bottom up. I didn't tell Riverhead how to do this. Tim and the other folks here came to me and said, this is what we need, get me some money. And that's how it should work. We pay a lot of federal tax dollars, now we're getting some of those dollars back. So this funding is an investment. A lot of benefits are going to come in the future. It's bipartisan. I try to do everything I can bipartisan, and I thank Tim and everybody else for being here. And with that, let me call on Jerry. Will you speak in, Jerry? Who's Jerry? You're Jerry. But let me call on Jerry from Jerry and the Mermaid. Who was the mermaid?
My mother and my sister was around myself. By yourself.
Isn't that great? Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you, Jerry.
Thank you, Senator Schumer, for advocating for Riverhead's vision for the future of downtown that resulted in the federal grant of more than $24 million. Your efforts are greatly appreciated. My family and I have been local small business owners in downtown Riverhead for over 30 years. Our restaurant, Jerry and the Mermaid, has been an attraction to locals and tourists alike, and we've had a remarkable success since 1994. It's been our honor and our pleasure to serve and give back to our community throughout these decades, but not all small businesses locally have been as fortunate as we have. Throughout this time, I've seen many restaurants and stores close because there wasn't enough pedestrian traffic downtown to survive. In recent years, I've personally noticed the town's economic development and planning team work tirelessly to ensure downtown Riverhead's future will be bright for everyone. A huge thank you to Supervisor Tim Hubbard, the whole Riverhead Town Board, our Assemblywoman, all the Riverhead Town staff for all their hard work and effort that they have put in to make this a great place. Also, a big thank you to Joe Petroselli, a friend, landlord, and an instrumental person in making downtown become what it's going to. Because of the influx of the federal funds flowing into our town through the Raise Award, I know we will quickly see Riverhead become an even more amazing place in the near future. The rocket ship that you referred. I'm confident that the goal of reclaiming the waterfront by relocating traffic to the new parking garage as part of the development of an activated town square and the utilization of a coordinated transportation connection will create substantial pedestrian traffic, which is exactly what we're looking for. I have faith that this transformation in a thriving downtown Riverhead will create a thriving downtown Riverhead for people to want to come and visit, and small businesses like mine will thrive. Let's make this dream a reality and make this accomplishment happen as soon as possible. Thank you for all your efforts. Appreciate you being here in our beautiful town.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
And it is a beautiful town. I've been here zillions of times. I just love it. Such a nice place. Okay, our next speaker is Sean McKenna. He's the head of the BIDMA. That's the Business Improvement Development Managers Association, and owns two restaurants, Cucina, see? And Craft the Bistro.
Thank you. Thank you for you.
All right, so I'm Sean McKenna. I've actually been a part of the bid for now 7.5 years. I've seen a lot of transformations be talked about, but now finally it's come to reality. With to thank Dawn Thomas and her staff for obviously facilitating and making sure this happens. Also, obviously, thank you, Chuck Schumer, for being here. Tim Hubbard, obviously, as always. I will say, Chuck Schumer actually did my graduation speech years ago. I know it was Suffolk Community College. This was, it was 17 years ago, so who knows?
Remember, I didn't get the verb.
I thought, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But yeah, so thank you for that as well, because obviously that's a big moment for a lot of people, young people. Also, I want to make sure we understand that this is a big moment in Riverhead. Obviously, it's and again, thank you, Joe Petroselli, for keeping things moving. Keeping it up. Overall, I think that this is going to be a phenomenal thing for downtown. It's going to make this town beautiful, and it's as a small business owner, just like Jerry. And Jerry, that was a beautiful speech, by the way. It's essential, the funding, to get this place going. So with that being said, Being the bid president, it's only been a month, so it's not crazy.
You don't look any worse for the wear.
I appreciate you. It's now that things are starting to happen and it's exciting. So I just want to say that and thank you everybody for being here and enjoy.
Thank you. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate it. And I try to do all the stuff we can bipartisan. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat and Republican, you want to help this place out. And our assembly member does a great job here. And I want to thank Joni DeGiglio, whose office is across the street.
Yes,
Thank
thank you. Thank you, Senator Schumer, for bringing the money to Riverhead. You know, the town of Riverhead and the Community Development Agency has invested time and money into knocking down blighted buildings and building this community square, which will bring everybody to the hub of downtown, which will help our restaurants, help our small businesses. And we couldn't do that without the partnership from our federal government and from our senator. And he's always been here for us, whether it's sewer, water, money for infrastructure. We couldn't be happier. We are surrounded by water, and these improvements are very good for not only the community, but also for our environment. So again, I want to thank Senator Schumer for being here today, for bringing his green folder with the money in it, and for making Riverhead a better place, and it will be with this funding. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Joni. Yay. Can take questions from the media, unless anyone else wants to say something. Anybody else?
I do shop.
Jim,
Yes, like you think.
this guy is so good. I mean, he lives and breathes Riverhead.
Okay. We obviously are very honored for today, and we have a proclamation from the Office of the Supervisor. And I'll read that parts of it says, whereas downtown Riverhead holds a special place in the heart of Long Island, embodying its rich riverfront history, agricultural heritage, and potential for vibrant growth, and has long sought to enhance its local economy. Whereas Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has tirelessly championed the cause of revitalization and economic development across New York State through his steadfast leadership and unwavering support, helped secure a $24.12 million grant in federal transportation funding to support the revitalization of downtown Riverhead. And let this proclamation stand as an open invitation for you, Senator Schumer, to come back to our town any given day. We would be more than honored to have you here. We certainly hope to have you here during the groundbreaking ceremonies. And we are going to present you with the proclamation and also with the Riverhead Town pin.
Thank you. Let's hold it up.
I can't thank you enough for the work that you've done to make this happen. Riverhead is a much, much better place because of your hard work and dedication.
Thank you. It's a great place. It's going to get even greater. As we mentioned, the rocket ship.
The rocket ship.
Yes, thank you. All right. Questions from the media on this subject? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. It's a beautiful day. I hear it's going to be a beautiful weekend, and enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me.
Thanks, yep. If you're very much as like this, right? Thanks, your sister.
All right. We'll dress up right.